This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Today's webinar is focused on attention to detail. We'll review how paying attention to the details impact our guest experience along with our bottom line, and how we can get our team to execute and deliver on our mission of a better way to play. Before we get into our topic, let's review a few housekeeping items. So I'm excited to introduce our guest speakers shortly. Keep in mind, they'll both be available for a brief Q&A session at the end of the hour. Please note that everyone but the presenters will be muted during the presentation. That said, you are encouraged to type in any questions you have related to the topic in the chat function of the GoToMeeting. You can find this at the top right of your computer screen under a word balloon icon. Second housekeeping point, we've restructured our approach to improve store level performance. This new approach is called MRBT. I believe Jordan will dive into this a little later, so we'll table this for now. Speaking of Jordan, he is our founder and CEO and one of today's esteemed guest speakers. Jordan founded Pickup USA a little over 10 years ago in a remote warehouse facility in Irwindale, California. That one store quickly turned into 12 operating stores that we currently boast. And he's here to share his vision of how we will continue to grow on the store level and beyond. Our other esteemed guest speaker is Erick Acosta. Erick is the owner-operator of Pickup USA Houston. As I'm sure you see in our monthly leaderboards, our Houston store is a perennial top performer. Like all of us, though, Erick has gone through a share of lessons learned from running a Pickup USA. It was bumpy at first, but his gritty determination to get his team to focus on the details immediately started paying dividends. He went from monthly revenue somewhere in the region of $20,000 a month to growing rapidly to $50,000 and $60,000 plus per month by paying attention to the details. So without further ado, I'll have our presenters do their thing from here. Jordan, please take it away.
Sure. All right, thanks, Paolo, and thanks everybody for joining us, and the recorded audience who will be listening to this in the near future. So Paolo talked a little bit about the guest experience, and that's been something we've been heavily focused on the last 3 to 4 months. What we diagnosed is that we had an overemphasis on sales, which led to a deteriorating customer experience. So essentially not everything, but a majority of what we discussed internally and with franchise owners and during our training was sales focused. So it was, how to sell more memberships, how to sell more private training, and the sales process, and increasing leads, and increasing your prospecting activities, and speed to contact, and role playing at the desk, and how do you convert more people at the desk to members, and have more of those members to training clients. And this all probably sounds very familiar to those of you who have gone through trainings recently and seen our communication. So that's great, and that's a necessary part of any business, is to have a sales process in place. But what we diagnosed is that our overemphasis on sales led to an underemphasis on the guest experience and really taking care of the customers. So, we saw across the board a deteriorating customer guest experience. And that doesn't mean it was a terrible guest experience, just, progressively not getting better. So that led us to, take a look at the organization and to ultimately make some restructurings. So our remediation plan for this is twofold. One is corporate staff restructuring. So, you guys got the update several months ago in terms of Paolo and Aaron's role. So, we look at Paolo and Aaron as the two VPs that oversee store level marketing and operations. In the past, it was Paolo's job to focus on guest experience as well as sales. And it was Aaron's job exclusively to do marketing. So in this, diagnosis that, we were emphasizing guest experience, we've restructured it to where now Aaron oversees all marketing and sales functions, and Paolo is exclusively responsible for guest experience. So that serves, several purposes. One, aligning the marketing and the sales activities. We used to view those in silos where, marketing was generate a lead, and once that lead's generated, that task is done, and then it moves off to the sales side. But that doesn't always make sense because, once that lead's generated, you still want to be marketing to those individuals through brand awareness campaigns. And, just because they've inquired with you doesn't mean they've signed up. So you want to continue to have that marketing to the individuals even, after they've submitted their inquiry and provided their information and become a part of your list. And you also want to market to your existing customers through referral programs, emphasizing private training sales, upsells, and things of that nature. So we've aligned those two functions under Aaron, marketing and sales. The second purpose of the restructuring is, now Paolo has an exclusive focus on that guest experience. So no longer does any of his time get dedicated to selling gym memberships or teaching franchise owners how to sell gym memberships. It's exclusively making sure that guest is taken care of. And what we hypothesize, and it's in my opinion common sense, is that the guest experience will drive the sales rather than the other way around. So if we're creating truly a world-class guest experience, the sales will come. So, through marketing efforts, making people aware of your product, they come in and you take care of them. I mean, really take care of them. The sale will become automatic, and much less time and less focus and less effort will need to be spent on sales. And, that time can be allocated to taking care of the guests. So not only do they sign up, but they remain at the gym. So that's a corporate staff restructuring. MRBT. So, we looked around at our industry peers, and we took a hard look at ourselves and determined, what is our function as a franchisor? And we boil it down to these 4 points. So our job as a franchisor, we don't service customers. We don't officiate games. We don't sell gym memberships. That's all execution at the store level. That's the most important part of the business. Our job is to support those functions. So measure, report, build, train. So this is the cycle that we will be going through on a perpetual, continuous basis. So, we don't have to go through each of these bullet points here, but measuring first step, and, the objective with that, and Erick can, probably speak to it, in terms of what his desires are as a franchise owner. I remember Erick years ago, before we had any measurement tools, saying that, that's what he feels like, when he thought about opening a franchise, is that the franchisor would come in, with a clipboard, for lack of a better term, and be measuring and giving him a report on it. So, that was the genesis of all of this years ago when we developed club performance evaluations and things of that nature. So, Erick's had a hand in this from the beginning. But, in ways we've gotten away from that. So, we're, as announced several months ago, we're getting back to the measuring side. So Aaron, on his end, will be doing performance evaluations on marketing and sales functions, including mystery shops, and things of that nature, to give the store owners reports on how their store is performing on marketing and sales functions. Paolo will be traveling to 2 stores each month to complete a comprehensive customer, or I should say guest experience performance evaluation. And then those reports will be sent out to the entire system. The purpose of the reports isn't to embarrass or put people on blast or to, put you in default of your franchise agreement because the rest don't have their shirts tucked in. It's to give
objective feedback on what we're looking for as a brand. And again, we look at these things as very common sense, but we have to be able to measure it so that we can show what moves the needle and what doesn't. So measuring is step one of this process. After we measure, everyone's going to receive a report. So this month, it's, Paolo, refresh my memory on who the first performance evaluations are going to be with.
I'm headed over to Noblesville and Shreveport next week. And Irwindale will be measured as well.
Got it. So Noblesville, Shreveport, and Irwindale will receive comprehensive guest experience evaluations. Everything, the temperature in your building, the volume of the music, the content of your music, how your staff treats individuals, how clean are the courts, how crisp are the nets, are your refs hustling up and down the court, are your refs controlling the game, are your refs standing at center court doing and one dribbling, looking like fools, or are they standing at the court looking like it's, game 7 of the NBA finals about to start? How clean are your bathrooms? How good are your training programs? All of this will be included in that. Paolo's going to measure that and then report back to the entire system to say, here's how these clubs did, and, here's how we can do better in an objective, a collaborative approach to getting better and servicing the guests better. So measuring and reporting. From there, they'll enter a phase of building. And this recurs every month. This is on a very deliberate schedule, as with everything we do. So this is looping every month. So after the measuring and reporting, Aaron will have a better idea of how things are going on the marketing and sales side, and Paolo will have a better idea of how things are going on the guest experience side, and they'll start building systems. So that could be training systems, that can be improved software for the stores, whatever it may be, so that we can continue to deliver a better guest experience. And then the final piece of this is training. So we'll take everything we saw when we measured and reported, everything that's been built, and we'll conduct trainings. So the trainings will occur the first week of every month. So that's the schedule when you'll receive these live trainings. And we have a soft rollout happening now in January. As of February, you're going to see a robust list of training seminars, both remote and in person. And we broke the business into 5 functions of marketing, sales, guest experience, HR, and finance. Those are the 5 things that you really need to master to have a successful club. To market your club, you've got to turn those leads that you get from the marketing into sales. You got to take care of the customers and have a great guest experience. You got to manage your finances properly, and human resources. So those 5 things is how we've broken it down. And every month we'll have in-person and remote training sessions that touch on all of those topics. So what you're gonna see is a move away from one-on-one consultation. When it was just Erick and a couple other franchise owners, everybody was learning together, and there was a lot of one-on-one consultation happening. The system is obviously rapidly growing, so you're going to see much less one-on-one consultation, and that one-on-one consultation is going to be replaced with substantially improved training seminars. And it's not just going to be us training, so it's not just going to be, Paolo and Aaron and, Erick and me and, whoever internally. We're going to have, guest speakers from the outside, subject matter experts coming in to talk about marketing, sales, guest experience, human resources, and finance. So that's what you're going to see going forward. Less one-on-one contact from the franchisor, and much more sustainable and robust training programs. So, the diagnosis is that we had an overemphasis on sales, which led to a deteriorating guest experience. What are we doing about that? We've restructured the corporate staff. Where now Aaron oversees marketing and sales, and Paolo oversees guest experience. And then through our MRBT, measuring, reporting, building, and training, that's how we will disseminate the information to the store level, so that we continue to measure ourselves and get better and better and better. All right. So I've been using the restaurant example a lot internally lately, and Paolo's taken the brunt of it. Paolo's not only responsible for the guest experience at all of the stores and training franchise owners on that guest experience. He's responsible for the guest experience at our prototype store, and I haven't been satisfied with it. So that's really the, how this all started. I've been using the restaurant example. So, I think it's a applicable example of, what we're looking to accomplish here. So if you think about restaurants that you frequent, what makes them stand out? We've got a restaurant, Casey and I, that we go to frequently. Real Food Daily, just up the road from our house. Back of house, the kitchen function, it's dialed in. The food is so consistent and so good. It's the best in LA, in my opinion. Front of house, not so much. We show up and it takes a couple minutes to get seated. We sit down, takes a few minutes to get our water. Casey orders a drink. The drink doesn't come out till the food comes out. Appetizers come out at the same time as the food. When we're ready to go, the check doesn't arrive, and it's maddening. We're both busy people. We want to get this going. Other restaurants in town, there's a restaurant, Crossroads. It's dialed in from the jump. There's 3 hostesses that greet you when you show up. They seat you right away. There's a bus person that comes out and unfolds your napkins. Water's poured. Water's always refilled. They come out and ask about allergies. The appetizers come out well before the meals. There's a cocktail waitress that comes and refills cocktails. When it's check time, they have the check ready and it's prompt. It's dialed in. So you have to ask yourself, what is your gem currently? Are you dialed in like that? If you gave yourself an honest assessment, are you dialed in? In what I'm seeing, we're not there. We're not the Crossroads right now. We're offering good basketball, but, good enough isn't good enough. So we want to make sure that we effective immediately dial this up and become, the world-class premier basketball spot, and not just every other basketball gym that's open for the last 50 years that kind of muddles around and, does okay. We've expanded and grown because, we're organized and we've got a cool offering and we've got some serious brand momentum. And, we should be proud of that. But if we don't deliver on this guest experience to really wow people, then, it's going to be a mediocre performing business at best. So, we took some pictures here. If you look at the top right picture, that was actually at our location 10 years ago. Cam Clinton, good guy. This guy sweet talked to me for a long time. I didn't know anything about hiring refs, but he was one of the first refs I hired, and man, he was terrible. And you can see like that doesn't look good. Shirt untucked, sloppy look. The ref on the left side in shorts. Just some examples here. When your guests come in, does somebody greet them right away? And when they greet them, do they stand up? Do they smile? Do they say something sincere? Or is it just a, hey, how you doing? How clean is your gym? How good are your refs? The reffing I'm seeing isn't where we need it to be. Your refs should be sprinting up and down the court and hustling and really making people feel like, this is the place to play ball. So if you look at, where we need to be and where I want us to be, these are some stock photos. This was a $20,000 film shoot that we did. So this is artificial in nature, but this is what we're presenting to the public. So, this top picture here, look at Lydell. I mean, that's good form. He's dressed up clean, clock set at 10 minutes, about to be a jump ball. You got Malcolm as our actor in the bottom right, trainer looking clean. Bottom left picture, smiling front desk and treadmills and TVs on. So, that's where we're trying to get here. So, the diagnosis is that the customer experience, the guest experience, I'm using the word guests, that's very deliberate. A guest is different than a customer. Paolo will talk to you guys a lot about that in the weeks ahead. So, the guest experience isn't where we want it to be. And we've taken these steps to remedy it. And I think we can clean it up pretty quickly. I can tell you Irwindale, in a matter of 2-3 weeks, once I gave these marching orders, it's night and day. I was in there 2 nights ago. I mean, the courts are shining, the nets are crisp, music's right, temperature's right. Refs, I mean, I haven't seen better reffing at a Pickup USA in the last 10 years. It was incredible. Great mechanics, great energy, keeping control of the game. It was dialed in. And these things can be remedied quickly. So, through our measuring, reporting, building, and training, and the corporate restructuring, we're confident that we're gonna go from where we're at, where we've been, to where we need to be pretty quickly.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jordan, for sharing that. So Jordan just relayed the marching orders for the vision for 2023 and beyond, and Erick is here to share his story of how he started Pickup USA and how he's executing on these details that Jordan is emphasizing here. So Erick, if you don't mind.
Yes, go ahead. So, hey, welcome everybody. So, when Paolo asked me to do this presentation, I was very excited because when I started Pickup USA, we opened our doors in May 2018, and you can imagine opening a new store at the beginning of the summer. So we had a tremendous amount of sales. We were looking so good that my optimism was off the charts. At some point, I told Jordan, I think Jordan visited us right in the middle of the summer, and I told him, hey, we're gonna have 1,000 members before the end of the summer. This is gonna be amazing. And almost as soon as I said that, next month cancellations were rampant. The people signing up was not the same. It was the end of the summer, and for the next 3-4 months, it was a steep decline in sales and membership. And the reality is that I knew if you asked me at that point, are you paying attention to detail? I will say yes. The problem was that I didn't know what details to pay attention to. I knew that paying attention to details will lead to better sales, but I was blind. I wasn't sure what I was looking for. So by November 2018, Jordan invited me to go to Irvingdale and spend a couple of days talking with him and looking at his operation. And that's when we had that conversation about, we need from corporate some measurements that allow people like me to understand what should I be looking for, because from my perspective, what I was seeing on the court, what I was seeing from my managers, it looks good, uh, and it was just because I didn't know better. So the intention of these next few slides is to just highlight what I have been doing together with Paolo and with corporate in crafting a way that we can operate uh, the Pickup USA location, paying attention to the key details that we know are important, or the most important for the business. So if you go to the next slide, Paolo. So, and I will start with this statement. Selling is easy when you have a great product, and Jordan mentioned that in his presentation as well, and this is very true. The problem that I had at the beginning is I didn't know exactly what that great product should look like. And I have listed here a few features of a great product, and I would like to go and talk a little bit about each one of them. And the first one that I have there is that it looks good. And if you look at the picture that we have to the left, I look at that facility and hey, the floor looks shiny. We have everybody seems to be engaged. We have a trainer that is in uniform there, is with the whistle in the mouth, is looking at the action. It looks like a great product, but that is not all the product. And I would like to make the analogy with I love iPhone, so just imagine that you go to the store and you buy the new iPhone, you spend $1,000, and you know the iPhone product is a great product, but I give it to you in a Ziploc bag. Uh, that will be shocking. That will take away a lot of the value and the excitement of the look of that product. And what I will argue here is that look good of our product start from the moment that the person drive into your parking lot, and they look at the parking lot and is it clean? Does it look safe? Is it welcome in the environment? Once they walk into the door, is there somebody there waiting to greet them, or is somebody on the phone watching their social media? So that first impression takes away that good look of your product. If you go to the second one, mass appeal, well, I think we all agree that basketball it definitely has mass appeal, but that alone will not sell you the product. You have to solve a problem as well. So and we know very well what kind of problems do we solve, and not everybody is necessarily a customer to us. If you have somebody that is perfectly comfortable going to the Y and just calling next and playing 2 hours later and having a slippery floor, so you're not solving a problem to that person because that person doesn't have a problem. He's not your target market. So solving that problem is key. But the most important item that I have listed there is reliable. And the idea is that you look at this picture on the left again, and you see a great product out there on Monday. But if you go there back on Friday and it doesn't look like that anymore, now you're not consistent. You don't have a great product anymore. You had a great product on Monday, but by Friday it's not good enough. And that takes away from the last bullet point that I have here. You have to have a good price for the value that you provide. And how clean your gym looks, how friendly and welcoming the people at the front desk are. uh, all those things take away from your value or give you more value. So it's not a good strategy to try to decrease the price because your value goes down. That's not going to take you anywhere. So it is extremely important that you spend your energy trying to build value. And the only way that you build value is by providing a consistent attention to detail of the key aspects of the business. Let's go to the next slide, Paolo. So and the way that I look now at the business is I see three core sections or services that we provide. We have games, trainings, and rentals. I can probably put 90% or more than of what we do in these three buckets. And when you look at what is important for each one of those, if you look at games first, uh, as a guest, what would you like to see when you get into the store? Well, I would like to see that when I get to the store, the floors are clean, and I'm not going to be playing on a slippery floor. That if they tell me that games will start at 7, that they don't start at 7:05 or 7:10. And if they telling me that it's 10-minute games, they are not now 10 minutes, they're 15 or they're 8. The waiting in between games is not consistent, it's not the same. That takes away from the value of those games. And finally, the quality of the referees. You want to be there and you want to pay a premium, because you want high quality referees, that they look good, that they have good mechanics on their calls, that they're hustling up and down, that they're bringing energy to your gym. The same apply on the training side, and you will see some consistent theme here. As as a person getting training in the gym, you would like to have a clean court, and you would like to have a trainer that show up on time and that brings a lot of energy to your class. So very similar to the situation on the games. Now instead of the referees, you have the trainer there. And on the rentals, again, our rental people are looking for what? A clean court, and that they can get on time when we tell them that their rental is up. And our rental prices are above average in the Houston location. And we have a lot of people that they consistently come and they're willing to pay more for the rental because of the value that we provide in terms of customer service and cleanliness. So it definitely pays to pay attention to all those details. Go ahead, Paolo. So, and what I would like to show you in the next few slides is over the past 4.5 years, I have been playing with different systems to try to ensure that we are consistently delivering good customer service, a clean and organized place for every guest. And this is a challenge. This is a long journey that I'm still working on. And what I will share with you is what I'm doing now that I feel is working the best. The important thing about this system is that you want to make sure that you are not the only one that understand that. Your management, your staff, they all have to be on board, and they have to clearly understand what you're trying to accomplish and the importance of what you're trying to accomplish. That everybody gets some clear responsibilities and expectations, and that will allow you to very objectively evaluate everybody's performance. And what we have done in our gym is we have some daily activities that we conduct, and that involve everybody in the gym. We have some weekly evaluations that we do as a staff meeting that we conduct every Thursday. And then at the end of the month, we do a monthly performance discussion to kind of bring it all together of what we have done well or not so well over the past month or so. Okay, so let me show you now the documents that I use to help my managers and my staff understand what we are looking from them. So on the first document that I will show you is one that I'm constantly looking at every time that I go to the gym. And we call it the operation checklist. And the focus of this operation checklist is on cleanliness and club maintenance. It is hard to read here, but there are several sections to this document. The person that owns this document is our front desk associate, and he is the one or she that needs to go and sign every item that gets done here. This document has all 7 days on the week of the week on the top, and then different sections for gym, uh, the office, courts, lounge room. So everything is there for them to go and sign and complete by the end of the day. At the bottom of the page, there's a section for the manager to come the following day. And the first thing that they do when they open the gym is they look at this document, they make sure that all the signatures are where they need to be, and they go and verify each one of those items to make sure that if Wednesday night we were supposed to clean the backboards, that they go and look at the backboards and yes, they are clean. If we were supposed to clean the pads that night, that they're clean as well. So, and they go and check every single item. They will indicate any item that wasn't done properly, and they will mark it, and they will have that conversation with the front desk associate once they come up for the evening shift. And that way, there's always a constant communication between the manager and the front desk associate on what is going well and what is not. And we do this on a daily basis. That helps keep the gym clean, make sure that the equipment is greased, is organized, and so on. So the next document that we have is a Group X evaluation. And again, we do this on a daily basis. The person responsible for doing this are the GM or the AGM, whoever is on shift that day. And the focus of this is ensuring that that group class is of high quality every time. Uh, Most of the tours that we have for young members, youth, what they come is to try out that class. So that class has a tremendous value for us because it's what is driving pretty much our sales into our youth members. If you look at this document, this is a single page document with 4 sections. These sections, they were taken from the same evaluation that we normally, well, we used to do from corporate that I guess Paolo is going to start doing again. And it includes the start of the class, making sure that the class start on time, that we have a good setup for the class, that the structure of the class is appropriate, that the intensity of the class, the engagement of the trainer is there, and finally that the trainer is dressed properly in a full uniform, and it looks good and sharp out there. And the way that this is done is there is a score section where we score either 1 or 0 for each one of those items, and everything gets tabulated at the end, and they get either a pass or fail score, and that score gets reported to me on a daily document that I'm going to show you in the next few slides, that allows me, without being at the facility, see how we did that day on the group class. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So the next one that we look at is the individual referee evaluation. And this one, I have transformed these so many different times, but for the past year and a half, we have used this system that works really well for us, and it's a 5-star rating system that we use. We have 5 sections that include professionalism, attire, mechanics, positioning, and game control. And this is a document that is owned by the GM and the AGM. So they are responsible for going every day and evaluate the referees. This will take probably 10 minutes, if that, to do that evaluation. It's a very simple process. And depending on the responses, they can get 1, half a star, or no stars on each one of these different sections. And on the second page, they get a rating, and that rating gets reported again to me on the document that I'm going to show you in the next slide. But depending on that rating, we have some action items. If they have a rating of 5 out of 5, that's great. There's no action needed. But if they have a rating that is less than 3.5, a retraining of that referee is necessary. And if this is a consistent situation, probably we need to change the referee altogether. So this is something again that we do on a daily basis, and we have found that is very useful because allow the managers to have a very professional conversation at the end of the day, because they can show this document to the referee when they finish their shift and explain, hey, Joe, you did great in all these areas, but we need to work on this specific item. Let's work together and help you get to that 5-star rating. And it doesn't feel like you are nagging the referees, that you are just have something against them. And that was a big challenge that we constantly had, is how many times you have to tell the referee to tuck their shirt in before they feel like you got something against them, that you're just nagging them. So when you have a document like this, now you have a very objective conversation. It's a very different situation. Anyway, so go to the next slide, Paolo, please. So this is the document that is reported to me every day, and we call it the daily metrics. And this is where I get a snapshot of how the day went through at the gym. Um, I have a full-time job outside the gym, so I don't have the time to be there all the time. So this document allow me to take a quick look at the end of the day and understand what happened and what is going on, and if we have to make some corrections. If you look here to the left, we have the names of the three managers that we have at our store. We have Carlos is our GM, Jared is our AGM, and Alex is our training manager. And they all have different sections where they have a number of calls they made, how many bookings they made, and how much sales they made at the end of the day. So that helped me with the part of the sales process that allowed me to understand, are we hustling on our end to see if we are making enough calls? Are those calls being effective in creating bookings? And are those bookings leading to sales? So pretty much in three sales, that give me a good picture of what is going on. We also list here the point of sale sales, because we have a lot of items that we charge in there, and we tabulate everything to calculate the total sales for the day. And at the bottom they have sales goals, they have booking goals, and they have call goals that they have to meet by the end of the month. So that is on the sales side. On the next session that we have, let's stay on that slide for a little bit more.
Sorry.
So the next session is on the operation side. We have Erick and Joseph. Those are the front desk associate. They also do calls and tests for past due, so we record that in there. And then we have a section where we have the Group X class, Referee 1, Referee 2. And this is where I get the scoring from the other documents that I show you. And the last area that we have here in this spreadsheet is for cash management, where we just compare at the end of the day the cash recorded in Club Ready versus the cash transferred to the safe. So that's pretty much it. So on the last form that we use, this is our weekly leadership meeting. This is a document that I originally received from Paolo, and I modified to fit our need in our gym. And it's a document that I own. That document, I'm the one responsible for putting it together, and I use it as an agenda for a weekly staff meeting. Here we spend time talking about the sales process, operation, guest engagement, and some other items. We do this every Thursday, and the managers really appreciate this opportunity because they get a chance to understand the health of the business and how well we're doing and where we need to work on. At the end of the month, we also look into how we did this as a monthly performance discussion. That's the last document. Can you go to the next slide? I believe that's the last document that we use. So, and as a summary to close this part, I feel we are all on what I call the road to perfection. We're never going to get there, but we need to work very hard every day to keep at least heading in that direction. What you need to focus on is making sure that you are delivering a great product every time, and that you're doing it consistently, and that you have a process in place that will allow you to communicate with your staff what you're expecting from them, that there are checks and balances that will allow you to understand if they are doing their part and how is that impacting your business. So, and that's it for my slides, Paolo.
Perfect. Thank you, Erick. That was excellent in terms of taking us through how you actually execute on getting to bring about some of these details that Jordan is focusing on and the rest of our organization is focused on. So thank you for that. Now, we get to the part of our presentation where it's a moderated discussion, so it's a Q&A. Again, there's a chat function on the top right of your GoToMeeting screen. So if you have any questions that you want to ask Jordan or Erick, please feel free to type that in. But Erick, for me, my question is, obviously you have accountability measures that you've been able to implement that has gotten some of these details on the ground. What are some of the things you've gone through your iterations of different employees and staff members? So what are you looking for when you recruit for people on your team? And take us through that, and take us through your recruiting and your onboarding that allow you to hold people to such account.
Yes. So I will use an example of a GM position, for example. The GM position, I'm one of the things that I'm looking is always for someone that is outgoing, good personality, and is not afraid to ask for sales. That's one of the things that I use as a screening tool when I start interviewing people for a GM role. I like to do some role playing and throw objections at them and see how they respond to those objections, and that will tell me how they're going to behave under pressure when they are running the gym. The other part is how they take criticism and how much attention they're paying during the conversation. And just to give you an example, I had probably, I don't know how many, probably like five different GMs in 4 years. But for the past 2 years, I had the same GM running the gym, and this is a person that impressed me from the moment that I had the first conversation with him, because of the way that he was listening to every word that I was saying. And it was very easy for him to understand that the value of why we were doing the things that we were doing, that if we were asking that the floor needs to be clean every single day, no exception, he didn't have a question about that. He understood that that has to be done. He knew the value of doing that and how that impact his sales numbers. So those are the things that I'm looking for. I like to emphasize at the beginning on the sales part, because you can have a great person that operates the gym, but if he cannot sell and he don't ask for the sale, it's not the right person either for your gym.
Excellent. Excellent. Jordan, you've gone through your share of hires as well. Any feedback on that in terms of profiles of what you've seen generally to avoid and what you're looking forward to bring onto the team?
Yeah, I mean, just to speak to what Erick has built over here, we talked about MRBT at the beginning of the call, measuring, reporting, building, training. Erick at the micro level, at the store level, is doing exactly that. You saw all the diligent checklists, measuring, and then he reports that back to his team, and he talked about how he reports it to the referees. And then, I've seen Erick, firsthand building these systems and going through the trials, and then training his team on it. So, he's essentially adopted that same formula to develop this business. And when I go visit Erick, there's a clear feeling in the gym that Erick has built a business, and he owns a business, as opposed to many business owners that own a job. And that's a clear distinction. Paolo turned me onto a book, The E-Myth Revisited, The Entrepreneurial Myths Revisited. And it talks about exactly that and why most small business owners fail, because they own a job and they're doing the job and they haven't built a business that can function around them without them. When I go to visit Erick, even on this call right now, we've got our sales, our main sales board up, and Houston is signing up members and closing deals while Erick is, I don't know if he's at the gym or in the back office, but he's not the one doing it. And he's not the one reffing, and he's not the one cleaning the courts. So he does not own a job. He owns a business. And I speak from experience on this because, for a long time I owned a job and it was miserable. And, I was in there 12, 14 hours a day and cleaning courts and officiating games and doing trainings. And I kind of saw it as a badge of honor, like, God, look how hard I work. And, but it was terrible. It was awful.
And, as soon as I started to, build my business and not just, think that I was the only one that could do it, we started to fly, we started to franchise it, and I made the same mistakes of doing every job in the franchisor. But now I do no jobs in the franchisor. I just oversee the functions. So, I think that's the biggest, I would say, pitfall that I've personally fallen victim to and what I see currently. So, if you're out there operating the store, or if you're listening to this webinar 2 years from now and, you're the one that's really doing anything within the gym, I can assure you that Eric never picks up the phone to make a sales call. And, he's the one who's overseeing the operation and, look at the success that he's had. So I think there's some key lessons to be taken away from that.
I don't know if you remember this, Jordan, but when we traveled to visit Eric, one of his guests had something to address with him, and he came over, knocked on Eric's door, and asked him, and what was Eric's response to that guest? Do you recall?
Well, I remember it very distinctly, and Eric referred them to the manager, and they went to the manager, and Eric reclosed the door and said, "I don't like being here." Because it takes the power away from the manager. It's not that Eric doesn't enjoy being in the gym and the business that he operates, but he very deliberately defers to his managers and has coached and developed them with that. And I can't emphasize that enough, that is the reason for his success, as opposed to Jordan's gym 2012 to 2014, where I'm going to handle that customer request because I'm the best one that can do it. And who's going to clean the floors? Jordan is, because I'm the best one that can do it. Nobody's going to clean the floors as good as Jordan can. And who's going to officiate the games? Jordan's going to do that. And who's going to train in basketball? I mean, the fact that I was training basketball is absurd. I can hustle up and down the court, but I certainly shouldn't be training people how to play basketball. But I was extraordinarily arrogant, like many business owners are, and fall into that entrepreneurial myth. And I owned a job for a long time. I didn't own a business. So yes, when that customer complaint came to Eric when I was out there several years back, he quickly deferred that to the manager.
Right. So from the two of you, witnessing your own stores and the other stores in the system, what are some common challenges that are keeping us from paying attention to these details?
Eric, did you want to say
either of
anything,
you, Eric or Jordan?
I can jump in with that, and I think go back to the same thing that I just reiterated. You can't really pay attention to the details, and you can't see the forest through the trees when you're deep in the weeds. So if you don't have, first of all, if you're doing any of the jobs within the gym, if you're the technician, if you opened up a barber shop, you shouldn't be cutting hair, and if you opened up a restaurant, you shouldn't be washing dishes and cooking food. You should be overseeing it. So if you're doing any of those functions within the gym, that's going to be step one that you have to eliminate. So once you've accomplished that, which is easier said than done, and there's whole books and institutions that research this stuff, but once you start working on your business as opposed to in your business, making sure that you have these tools in place to measure people, and so that they have an understanding of what they're supposed to do. And you can ask yourself, do your refs understand exactly what you want out of them? I can assure you that Eric's refs do, and it's not by accident. Like, God, Eric got so lucky. Look at the refs he got. No, he didn't get lucky. Look at the systems that he's put in place, where he measures them, he reports back to them, he builds systems around it, and he trains them. So I think, number one, stepping out of the business so that you're working on the business and not in the business. And number two, having those clear, deliberate channels to measure your people.
I agree. I will add to that I love being in that business. This is like a dream come true, having your own gym. This is something that I wanted since I was a kid, and now I have it. And what I do is I try to go there on the off-peak hours when the gym is closed, early in the afternoon when nobody's there. And if I need to do anything at the gym, I will do it at that time. And when clients start coming to the door, it is almost impossible to stop somebody that wants to get their way. They want to get something that the manager is telling them, no, we cannot do that. They will see somebody that looks like it has higher authority and will come to them and try to get it. And these people over there know that I'm the owner. So immediately when they don't get their way, they're gonna go and look where is Erick, and if Erick is not there, okay, give me his phone number. I need to talk to him and give him a call. So the instructions that my managers have is to tell everybody that Erick don't work there, that I pay the managers to run the gym and they are the ones running the gym. And if they call me or they stop me at any time and they ask me, I will give them exactly the same answer is, hey, Carlos runs the gym. You need to talk to him. I hire him to do that job. And people got used to that response and they don't take it the wrong way. They don't feel like I'm shoving them off or I don't want to deal with them. They understand that Carlos has a responsibility there and that I don't want to take that power from him, and that has worked very well. If I go to the gym now, uh, people don't even ask me questions anymore unless there is a friendly conversation. But if it's about sales or the business, they can give me some. I get a lot. I get so much advice from customers that you wouldn't believe. But I listen to them. I thank them, and I keep moving on. I don't try to pretend that I'm running Pickup USA.
Perfect. So we're nearing the end of our hour here. Jordan, Erick, thank you for hosting this. Do you guys have any final statements to make about our topic, attention to detail? Erick, we'll start with you, and Jordan, we'll finish with you, and we'll wrap up the session afterwards.
Yeah,
Erick?
I would say this goes to all the managers and the operators is you need to figure a way to have a system in place that if you cannot be at the location for a week, for a month, the business continues uh, without any problems. And that was a challenge from the beginning. I was probably like many of the other operators, like Jordan, trying to do everything because I was the one who was trained at corporate. I was the one who understood clearly what needed to be done, and I was having trouble communicating that clearly to everybody. Once I had a system in place that allowed me to do that, I don't spend as much time as I used to do before. And when I go and spend time at the gym, I am just observing and not working there.
Great. Thank you for that, Erick. Jordan, any final words of wisdom about attention to detail for our team?
I have nothing to add to that. Erick's done it better than I ever did it, and Erick's got it down to a science. And I use the term science deliberately. Erick's a PhD chemist. He understands science and methods, and kind of no gray area, objective measures. So it's very simple. The formula to succeed as a small business owner is very simple. What's not simple is actually doing that and executing. And these pitfalls sound easy not to fall into, but most of the time people fall into them. So I think if there's any key takeaway here, it's be like Erick, and his job is so much easier than the people that are buried in their small business, whether it's a Pickup USA owner or any other small business owner. And somehow that's hard to do, but I think if you can emulate what Erick's done and his MRBT approach, you'll have the formula for success.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you everyone for listening in, and particular thank you for Jordan and Erick for being our guest speakers for today. So everyone have a good weekend, and hope to see everyone paying attention to these details and growing their revenue in the weeks, months, years to come.
Thanks, everybody.